put it like that.
Nice.
What's it like? I was actually there in attendance in Cleveland for Coe's first career NFL touchdown, which was awesome. And,
Awesome.
it was a great game. You could hear me on camera. I was just screaming, "Say it ain't so, Coe! Say it ain't so!" Sadly, from there, the game kind of went off the rails a little. That was the last high moment of that game, but it was a great game. Overtime loss, fun time.
Yeah.
But how was that moment for you? Seeing the first, whether it was on TV, in person, wherever you were, seeing his first NFL touchdown. How was that?
Well, dude, I mean, we were at home because it was a away game. We don't travel to a lot of the away games because we can get into that later. But, to watch that and to think I wished I was there live. So to have your video was so cool. And just that, man, this is so cool. I mean, that was so cool for us. Catching it from Tom Brady, right? Like, he's got the ball yet. I mean, first NFL touchdown means a lot, right? I mean, as a dad, that's just so cool to see. And it was fun to watch. And, it didn't have the outcome we wanted, but still the same. What a memory! What a memory to have, right? So,
and honestly,
cool.
those. One of the best guests ever, the Buccaneers in the house tonight. You guys hear him on Tampa radio all the time. He's one of the best in the business. My favorite personal in the business. That's why I'm elated tonight. Growing up in the Chicago area, you're used to sports radio. That's what gets me through the day. So this man does help get me through the day, I will say, with the Pat and Aaron show at work. Nothing like it. So it's incredible. It looks like we got Stunna bumbling in. I'm Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little clear. But we're joined by Pat Donovan.
It looks like Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like you got a little...
No, my camera's broke.
And he was trying to pull me in big time. And then I was like, nothing's happened with Indianapolis yet. Like, I really want to give Indy a chance. And then also I talked to Cody Bruton, once he took over Rich McCann, I'm still like, but look, I was like, y'all just give me the opportunity to explore free agency, see what's going on, and then kind of make us do it.
All right, everyone, you are tuned into the Buccaneers, a wide receiver, Kalen Geiger, and we are about to have a great pod. This is the Buccaneers. You're tapped in, and here we go. Nah, my camera's broke. The great words of the infamous Stunna in the house. No, he's not in the house, but J.C. Allen, Bucs by 30. The great Zach Johnson, Tampa Tones here, talking about the big arrival of training camp. It hit like a brick. It came out of nowhere. All of a sudden, it seemed like, we got a lot of offseason left, and shortly it became a little bit of offseason, and now we're here. I consider this a season. I consider us in the thick of things. And speaking of in the thick of things, we got the great J.C. Allen and millions. He's in the thick of things for Bucs training camp. J.C., how the hell you doing after day one, brother? You survive the heat out there?
Yeah, it was good in the morning part of it. As it started to heat up during the day, it definitely got a little hot out there. But yeah, football's back, baby. You could smell the fresh cut grass. You could, the sounding of helmets clanging and pads being hit. It definitely ushers in a new season.
Yeah, and it's an exciting season for Bucs fans, exciting time to be had in Tampa. I think a lot of good stuff's coming this year. You're going to help us break it all down, my friend. What a better source to have than the great J.C. Allen. Real quick, you working on anything? You putting out anything? What's cooking in J.C.'s corners? Abraham checks in. Greetings, Abraham.
Yeah, always things in the works. So over at Bucs Game Day, we have a ton of content coming up over there. We'll be reacting to some of the things the players said. We've got our training camp observations. Myself just put out a kind of battles to watch for on offense and defense throughout training camp. Check those out. Who's going to Who do I think is going to come out victorious? Well, I put out my 53-man roster prediction ahead of camp this morning. So check that out. See who I think is going to be rounding out the final roster if things go to plan. So we'll be having a bunch of more articles up there. I'll be getting something out about Levante and some burning questions in camp. As camp rolls on, what are some of the burning questions? We'll get to that and more. And then the podcast, I'm live right after you guys at 7:00. I'll have the great Greg Allman on, and we'll be finishing up our preview of the defense for the Buccaneers and what those battles might look like, and a lot of fun stuff coming up here.
In the words of the great Baker Mayfield, you got me bricked up, my man. That's awesome stuff right there. That's been a saying of mine for a long time. I'm glad well, a lot of people's, but it's a great one. Speaking of great, yeah. Speaking of great, we got the great Bucs by 30. Zach in the house. Zach, how the hell you doing, brother? Happy training camp.
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Glad to be here tonight with you fellas.
Yeah, exciting times ahead. A lot of Bucs ball to talk about. JC, I'm gonna kind of get your clarification on this. As Vera says, great show. Thank you so much for tuning in. But JC, clarity in the air. Now, a lot of people, rumors circulate. You know how social media works nowadays. One thing happens and everybody jumps to conclusion. Desmond Watson, what's the status on him, if you don't mind me asking? I know a lot of people are saying he's this, he's that, he's out of shape, he looks better, he looks worse. I know he was kind of on the side today, but what say you on the status of big man Des Watts?
Yeah, it's with Watson, it's all about weight management, and it's something that he struggled with over his time at Florida. It's something that he's come out openly and talked about the struggles he has with weight management. Obviously, after mandatory minicamp, you're given about a month and a half off, close to it, to be on your own, and you're expected to be training and expect to be hitting goals. And in his case, I'm sure it's weight goals that they wanted him to get to. Whether he struggled with that or whether he's kind of right where he needs to be, where they wanted to, but not where they need him to be to practice in the Florida summer heat, then that's one thing or another. Obviously, he's grown up playing football in Florida. He's grown up doing two-a-days, I'm sure, back in the high school levels and everything like that. So, it's all about him getting at, as Tubbo's put it, a healthy weight that they feel comfortable getting him on the field. And he's not at that point right now. Can he get to that point? We'll see. That's the thing. Does it become too hard and he gives up, or does he want to see this through to better himself and to help put this football team in a better position to win games? So the onus is on him. And he's got all the support of the Buccaneers to do it. He's just got to step up to it.
Yeah, he's also got the help of that Florida sun, right, to help him sweat off some of those extra pounds. So I think you nailed it. If it's up to him, right? Like weight loss and diet is all, a lot of part of it is mentality. So if you got the right mentality, I think you can get there. Plus, those guys have the best dietitians in the world to help them get where they need.
Right, nutritionist, food, everything. Like someone to push you, someone to stay on top of you.
Right, a lot easier for them to drop 30, 40 pounds than it is for us, right? So
absolutely.
So speaking of the guys maybe that could make the roster, I don't want to steal your thunder from your projected 53, but who do you have as like a dark horse candidate that people might not be thinking about that might make this roster?
I think JJ Roberts. He's the guy who I have for safety there. I think he's the one that people don't know a lot about. If they've been following along, with me and with you guys, then that's something that they should know. But I just like his versatility. Today he was playing in the slot. He can also play safety. He's got really good speed and range and athleticism. It all showed out in the combine. For me, he was, if the Bucs took a safety in the 7th round, he was the guy I thought they would target. They got him in undrafted free agency. I just think he's got a really good shot. After I posted that, and the more I began to think, it wouldn't be surprising to me if the Bucs kept 5 safeties and maybe went up a player light on the defensive line or at the outside linebacker room, assuming they can probably get, Jose Ramirez and Marquise Watts. Maybe you go with 5 there and you keep an extra safety, and that opens up. Because Kayvon Merriweather, he's been out there and he played good towards the end of the season. And to me, that was really difficult to go between the two. And I went with a guy who I think has a little bit more versatility. But I think he's someone that people need to pay attention to. Shiloh Sanders is the guy who's getting all the attention. Obviously, Daddy was out there. Prime was out there for practice.
Prime time.
prime time. And, so he's getting all the attention. But I think of the 2 undrafted guys they brought in, JJ Roberts is the guy to watch. And maybe even Marcus Banks, because he's been getting a lot of reps with the 2s when it's him and Kayvon Merriweather out there. So maybe he's someone that I need to pay a little bit more attention to as well, But again, we're in the beginning of camp, so we'll see how that progresses.
Jay says, just when I thought well, we'll leave it at that, but the great Jay in the house, he's always a who. We love Big Jay. Cleve and me heard J-Lo missing because a fart went wrong. Suddenly, J-Lo's hair, he sprung into the air.
James's jaws.
Yeah, he's like the emergency goalie, we went down and he stepped up. J-Lo, are you there, my friend? Can you hear us? Welcome to the program.
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Well, yes, we could, my friend. It's like the Sprint commercial. Can you hear me now? How the hell you doing? Happy training camp.
Yes, happy training camp, man. Sorry I came in late, fellas. Internet be wilding around here. Storm, monsoon passed through earlier, so I'm ready to roll.
That's called laying off the dark web, brother. The web browser goes much faster. I assure you that.
No, absolutely. It's exciting, man. I've been seeing a lot of highlights and stuff like that. Training camp. I'm sure JC got a way better view more than us. Outside of the heat. How's the heat up there, buddy?
It was good in the beginning. It was fine. We had some cloud coverage. There was some slight breeze, but then the flag stopped moving. The clouds started moving away from us, and it got pretty hot. But it's training camp. It's you live and die with it. It's initiation. I feel like
you're bred for it.
Season till you sweat, right? You're bred for it. It's year 5 for me. So at this point,
dude, I cannot believe. Could we take a minute and toast you? Year 5. Holy cow!
Appreciate it.
Time flies, bro. I mean, I know we always bring it up, but it seems like it was just the audible on Bucs Report Friday nights at Joshua Cole, and that was awesome times. And now we're here with year 5, JC Allen. He's big time now. Bucs Game Day Pirate Parlay podcast. Joining the Buccaneers here for training camp talk. Abraham's talking about Robert, Shiloh, Josh Hayes, etc. But JC, I want to get into the nooks and cranny of it. We heard rumors. I mean, some people had the wrong font. Some people had the right font. It's like typing a paper. Sometimes you choose the wrong font, right? But Seattle obviously had 2 fonts at the waiver wire. Could you clear the air on that? I mean, we all know by now what happened, but can you just make that a little more clear for fans still confused?
I don't know if it's Fant or Font, Fanta. I don't know, but we'll go with it.
Maybe I'm confusing more people now.
Both played with the Seahawks last year, so there's some confusion there. I think Rick said that he put a TE instead of just a T, whatever. But George Fant is the one they had in for a workout yesterday. He played sparingly for the Seahawks, if you want to call it that, last year. I think he only logged like 30 snaps, both of them at right tackle, but he played a good amount for 1,000 snaps for, I think it was Houston the year before. If not, it could have been, I think it was Houston the year before. Played over 1,000 snaps there, so plenty of starting experience throughout his career in the league. So what I've been told, it's just kind of refreshing the emergency list, right? If there's an opportunity, maybe that comes along, but they don't even know what they have in Heck first, and they want to see that. They need to see that, and that's not going to happen until Monday when pads come on. So I'm not sure about inner workings on contract details, logistics, but it's just refreshing, keeping that updated list of guys. Say, if we need to bring someone in here, we know he's good. We know he can pass a physical. We know we can bring him in here. So we'll see if anything more happens to that or if there's anything more underlying. But that's my understanding of the situation.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, go ahead.
Yeah, wait your turn.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. Did I read today that Klein saw a little bit of time out at right tackle?
Yes, he did. If you remember, Klein got the less than 24-hour heads up before the Bucs' final preseason game that he was going to be starting at right tackle for the game, and he pretty much held his own. There were some plays he'd definitely like to have back, but yeah, he was at right tackle. The Bucs feel really comfortable with him along the interior. So we'll see, how he does at right tackle. They are down a couple bodies with Silas Sanzi down, a couple other guys that maybe they don't feel too comfortable with, and maybe they're just trying to give him some more work there. with Ben Chukwuma on the left side. They want to give him those reps over there. So we'll see if that continues and becomes a trend where they're just making sure that if something goes wrong with Gedeke or with Heck, that they have another guy they feel comfortable with, even if it might not be the best position for him on the line as a whole.
Speaking of which, on JC with injuries and stuff like that, as we all heard the news about Chris Godwin having I guess, procedure on his ankle, I believe that's what it was. 'Cause at first they said knee, but then they said ankle. So my question is, I mean, obviously he's not going to be available the first week. That's what it's looking like to me from what I'm seeing. What timeline do you think, he'll be out? Maybe the first 5 games? Just your best guess if you had to put it out there.
With Godwin and Wirfs, I think it truly is a week-to-week type of situation with these guys and when they could come back. I think if you feel as you're getting towards the end of training camp that Chris or Tristan could be ready by week 2 to go, I think you see them both come off the PUP list. I think Chris has the better chance of coming off early and being maybe 3 weeks into training camp, he's coming off the list. We get that news and it's like, oh, Chris Godwin's off the list week 1 in play. Not necessarily guaranteed because he's got to get, everything under his belt, get up to football shape, all that stuff. But at least, he's not going to miss the first 4 games. Whereas if either one of those guys are still on PUP and there's no positive news of we think he's close, then they're going to miss the first 4 games of the season no matter what. So I think Chris has a better shot, but I think if we start to hear rumblings that they're ahead of schedule and it might be a timeline of 2 versus 4, I wouldn't be surprised if they come off. Don't necessarily practice or do anything, but they're ready to go in week 2 or week 3 and come back a week or 2 early.
We're live with the great JC Allen. We're forming Evolution, Ric Flair, but no, I'm kidding. JC Allen, Zach Johnson, J-Lo, Tampa Tones in the house, and we're talking all great thing Bucs training camp. If you're watching live on YouTube right now, please hit the subscribe button, like button, turn that notification bell on. You'll never miss a dull moment with our beautiful faces. A lot of JJ Roberts talk. Bucs have had former JJ UDFA be successful, JJ Russell, so connect the dots there. But JC, whether it's a back end of the roster guy fighting for a roster spot or it's a starter fighting for a starter spot, kind of name a overlooked situation maybe of a guy whose spot might be in more danger than the public thinks. Who's a guy that might be vying for snaps that a lot of people aren't talking about right now, or vying for a starting job that a lot of people talking about right now that maybe we assume safe as the public, but maybe up close and personal might not be as easy as it seems?
I think they've done a really good job at building the depth across the roster. So the only real starting job that's up for grabs is Jacob Parrish versus Christian Izien for the nickel cornerback spot.
You don't think, well, now that Walker's hurt, but before injury, you think he might have snuck that from Dennis, or no chance?
No, I don't think so. I think they're really, really comfortable with Servacio Dennis, and I think it's going to be a live and die kind of situation with him throughout the start of the season. If he maybe struggles a little bit through training camp, which I don't think is going to be the case, but it's going to be a kind of live and die situation, and we'll rely on Anthony Walker if we need to. If it becomes desperate times, desperate measures, we know we have a veteran in there we can rely on, or if injuries hit the room. I think Voss is going to be fine. I mean, the short little bits we've seen of him over the last couple of years hasn't said anything that this guy can't ball. Like, it's been play after play of him showing that, hey, he can ball. The Colts game where he's the only one that recognized the trick play to the tight end on 4th down and saved the touchdown at the time. They still scored, but saved the touchdown at the time. And then you see what he did just in a few games before he went down with a shoulder injury last year. There's nothing I think that you've seen of him that says, hey, he can't be a difference maker, whether that's on special teams or as a linebacker full time. So I think they're really fine with him. But other than that, I mean, I think you're just talking about depth backup battles, man. Like Michael Pratt's on the PUP list. So that was one of the questions. Can he maybe overcome Kyle Trask? If he has an amazing preseason, do the Bucs want to risk putting him on through waivers try to get him on the practice squad, or do they say, hey, let's roll with a young kid? We know what Trask has. We think he can do the same job. That kind of gets taken away, or the battle for the wide receiver 2 position / 3 position across between McMillan and Abuka is going to be, they're both going to get plenty of snaps, but like, who's going to be out there when the offense trots out? That's going to be something fun to watch. That safety battle for those spots is going to be fun, but there's not really, the cornerback, that might be one. Can Benjamin Morrison beat out Jamel Dean or Zion? Is that an opportunity for one of those guys to say, hey, maybe you think he's a starter, but we drafted this kid in the 2nd round who I would think could have been a 1st rounder and has talent as a 1st rounder. Can he beat out one of you guys? And I mean, maybe that's the one you pick as an unexpected one, but for the most part, I think you're looking more at back of the roster competition depth, and it's really good sign to have that much competition where you're looking at guys like, damn, like this guy might not make the roster. That's not a problem Bucs fans have had the last couple seasons,
Right. Well, that's a testament to the job of Jason and the team, right? To make the right draft picks, keep the guys on the roster so that we don't see that back end churn, right? We got guys that have been here in the system a little bit that are looking to regain those spots. So I'm going to ask you the question that, all of Bucs Twitter is waiting to hear, man. So when should we expect the deal for Hendrickson to be done, right? I mean, he's in Tampa, so he obviously has to be coming to the Bucs, right?
Yeah, I think they're good, man. I think watching Hassan and Yahya, and again, granted, no pads, they're going to win that, more often than the offensive linemen are. But they just look explosive, the duo. It doesn't seem like you're going to be able to take both of them away. And that's what teams were able to do last year with Diaby. They're like, oh, we'll take Diaby away because the players he had opposite of him. And now you can't do that. Hassan got a would-be sack today. Yahya Diaby got a would-be sack today. They're in the backfield all day long. And they're going to be a dangerous combination. I wouldn't be surprised if they get 20 plus sacks between the two of them. Because the team's got to pick their poison now, and they're both poisonous. So I don't think they need them. I think David Walker's going to be really good. He was in the backfield a lot today. They got Anthony Nelson, who's going to get you clutch plays and pressures when you need them. He's not going to be a dominant guy when it comes to rushing the edge, but everything else you need at the position, he's good at. He's a good jack of all trades.
We're in year 7 for him as a Buck. Hard to believe.
And then you got to have Braswell take a step, As if you have Braswell take that step and you have Walker come in and be ready to go, then you have 2 similar type guys to sub in for your guys. You got a power guy like Braswell to come in for a power guy like Diaby, and you got a speedy guy with underrated power in Walker, but a smaller, speedier guy that can come in for Hassan Reddick. And that rotation just becomes seamless, and they can flow in and out of each other. And then you rotate Anthony Nelson in there, when you need to. But we'll see.
No, awesome stuff, JC. Awesome stuff. I'm gonna go over to the offense side of the ball. With we talked about Godwin, but Emeka Egbuka looked pretty good out there in social media, on social media world on Twitter. How do you think that battle's gonna go between him and McMullen? How did McMullen do today?
Yeah, McMillan looks good, smooth, picked up right where he left off. It's going to be a really tough battle, and that's another testament to the front office and Jason Light, and for the Bucs coaching staff for getting these guys to reach their potential. I think McMillan's going to have a good season, good second year in the league, and I think Egbuka, when it comes down to it, and one of the reasons why I've been kind of vocal about I think Bucs is going to end up being the wide receiver 3 when everyone's healthy is just because McMillan's very talented and he knows what it is, but we're talking about a discrepancy from first round to third round. And even if McMillan should have been in the second round, like a lot of people said, you're still talking about a talent discrepancy between a first round guy and a third round guy. And I know sometimes draft position doesn't matter. Antonio Brown, Tom Brady, Amon-Ra St. Brown. But Egbuka is not one of those kids. Everything. You listen to Baker Mayfield on New Heights, he just gushes about how smart he is. You listen to McMillan today talk about how dedicated it is. He's in his book. He's about the details. He's just going to be really good. He's going to be very reliable, and Baker's going to love throwing to him because he's going to be at the spot. He's going to be able to move around and read the soft zones and give Baker that that out. He's a quarterback's best friend. That's what they called him at Ohio State, and that's what he's going to be here with Baker.
Yeah, and we saw that in the playoffs last year, you know, in the regular season at Ohio State last year, just making plays for Will Howard and Ryan Day and company. Chip Kelly had a good friend in Egbuka, and he'll be a great friend too with the Grizz, right? The new OC here in Tampa, as we are joined by JC Allen. JC, going to spin this into a question. As Cleveland Me says, JC, I love how in camp the one bad highlight of someone goes viral, even if 99% of the time they did well. At camp today, obviously, Jackson Dart's first pass today went all over social media because it was an interception. But, JC, how is it being live there at Bucs camp when one of these bad plays are made? Does the team eat it up a little bit and kind of eat their cake and have it too, or is it forgotten about and you move on to the next play right away?
Yeah, I mean, the defense is going to let you forget that what happened. That's a damn sure. The offense is goldfish mind all the way. Whatever. We'll get on the next one. But yeah, no, the defense is letting you hear it, especially today. Today was the defense's day. They ruled the day. Now the offense made some plays, and you know, Mike Evans is just doing Mike Evans things on day one of training camp. Like, hey, let me show you how it's done. He was all over the place, made some great catches. And some other guys stood out. Devin Culp stood out with some nice plays, and Sterling Shepard made this crazy acrobatic diving, tipped the ball to himself several times and came down with it. It was super interesting. It was a really fun play to watch. And there's a couple other guys had some good days, but it was a defense all the way today. 4 picks or three picks, 1 dropped interception, couple pass breakups. They're all over the place. So definitely a day for defense at Bucs training camp.
Yeah. So we've seen, or we know that Grizz has been a part of creating the plays for third down. How do you feel his play sequencing is going to be? Do you think it's going to be an easy transition, or do you think we might see some struggles of the offense early on in the season?
Yeah, definitely. I think there'll be some struggles. You've been preparing the whole offseason, your game plan to be XYZ, and now it's not like you just lost, a wide receiver or something like that where you can make some subtle changes, and you're losing Kirsten Wirfs is irreplaceable. There's only maybe one left tackle better than him in the league or on par with him. So whenever you lose that, it changes everything. All the planning. Now he's got to figure out, okay, now we need to be more 12 personnel, so I can have a tight end. So I can have a tight end on the side to help out Charlie Heck. On this situation, we're going to need to leave Rashad in instead of having Bucky because we need a strong pass protector on this situation. So it changes things the way it is going to be. He's going to have bumps and hiccups, and they're going to happen as a first-time play caller. It's just bound to happen. There'll be some mistakes that obviously, the thing about Dave and the thing about Liam is they learn from their mistakes. Liam a little bit quicker than Dave did, but they still learn from their mistakes. And as the season gone on, both offenses you saw really flourish. And Cohen's to a more extent because of how quickly he was to pivot. That's going to be the thing with Grizzard is how quickly he recognizes something isn't working and then makes that pivot. So, expect some lumps and bumps and bruises. And then once he finds his groove and gets Tristan back and be able to kind of run it the way he wants, then I'm sure we'll see a true indication of what he envisioned his offense to be, assuming everybody else stays healthy through that time.
Cute cat, JC, by the way. Before I go on my next question, I will ask this, where's the likelihood of a contract stitching happen during training camp, out of like Luke Gedeke or K-Dot, out of those guys? You see any extensions happening at all, or you think they'll play the wait and see game, how they played this season?
I think it'd be smart to lock up Gedeke. You saw the market just climb with Zach Tom, and I think that's what you're looking at as a similar comp. Maybe you can get him to take $1 million or $2 million less. But I think he's right up there with Zach Tom as one of the best, right tackles in the league. Certainly under Penei Sewell and Lane Johnson, but I think in a tier below that or somewhere around there, you're talking about Luke Gedeke. And you're talking about him even though he missed several games last season with a concussion. He's just become that dominant of a tackle where he is able to erase guys, and even if he struggles, his recovery has gone much, and he's a tone setter. He's the Ryan Jensen on the team. He's a tone setter. If something happens, he's there to try to get in someone's face. With K-Dine, I'm not sure. The market's looking around like 12.5 million. He's put up good numbers for his position, but do you think you can maybe find a guy in the draft that can put up 50 receptions for 500 yards and 5 touchdowns every year? Or do you feel like you need to pay K-Dot and 12 million? A lot of it's also going to kind of depend on where Payne Durham is. Do they feel Payne can step up and be a better blocker? Do they feel like, they can use him more? And do they feel like with Devin Culp, they can use him as well? So Zion McCollum's another one, he's only been a starter for a year. He had an up and down season last year. There's a lot of highs, some lows. He played well the year before when he was asked to play all over the secondary, including safety. You're probably looking at like 15 to 18 million on a deal with him right now. If he goes out and balls out, now you're looking at 22, 23. So do you want to get ahead of the market? Tight end shouldn't fluctuate that much, maybe 12 to 13, but tackle could jump up 3-4 million in a contract, a couple of contracts in the offseason, and cornerback we've just seen the jump that has continued to take with Sauce Gardner after Daryl Stingley and J.C. Horn. Not to say that Zion would get that money for just one really good season, but now you're talking about, instead of getting him 15 to 18, you're talking about 20 to 24.
The great J.C. Allen spitting the truth. J.C., I want to ask you, speaking of truth, am I telling the truth here, or am I stretching it a little bit? I truly believe Kalijah Kancey will be an all-pro if he remains healthy this season. I think the addition of a guy like Hassan Reddick on the outside, another year of Vita and Levante helping right the ship. Logan Hall played better last year. Just assume he's going to take another step in the right direction. Assume the young guys like Walker and Roberts help out a little bit. Yaya takes that next step. Just assume Braswell does as well. If all things go well, Kancey stays healthy, I don't only think he'll be a Pro Bowler, I think all-pro will be in his near future. And I think it's a realistic chance the way this guy plays, he can be one in 2025 if he stays healthy.
Look, the fact of the matter is you have to double-team Vita Vea, especially when he's cooking. So that leaves one-on-ones for everybody else, where in the past you could double-team somebody in like a Yaya Diaby and take him out of the game, and feel comfortable, because you had pretty much 4-on-3 or 4-on-3, and then you can double up the edge and the other edge and take him out. So with having Hassan Reddick there, again, with Yaya, Kalijah, and Vita as that base, it becomes very difficult to add help on every play and be successful. Because now if you do want to double Hassan, well, Yaya's one-on-one, Kalijah Kancey's one-on-one. You've got 4 guys blocking Vita Vea and Hassan Reddick. And that doesn't include any pressure Bulls is sending. Because the Bulls sends pressure and you have to leave a running back in, you're still odd man out. So Kalijah Kancey's going to have a ton of opportunities. His big thing, and it's been the big thing the last 2 years, is staying healthy. He missed all of training camp. Almost all of training camp his rookie year, came back for a half against the Vikings and missed the next 2-3 games. Last year, he missed like 4 or 5 games. I think he didn't come back to week 6, actually, right?
Yeah.
He missed the first game all the way to week. So 6 games of the season, it's staying healthy, because if you're going to be an all-pro or Pro Bowl, type player, you have to stay healthy to get those opportunities. And the opportunities should come. I wouldn't be surprised if between Yaya, Hassan, and Kalijah, there's 30 sacks between the 3 of them. I wouldn't be surprised. Vita Vea getting like 6.5, 7. Like they should eat. They should eat. You look at some of the offensive lines they're going against, then there's some good matchups for them, some opportunities, but they got to put the work in now and obviously, polish up before the season comes. But I really feel like us over the last couple of years saying the Bucs can't get home with 4. Bucs can't get home with 4. Nothing's going to work until the Bucs can get home with 4. It's optimistic season. Summer training camp just opened up. We haven't seen anyone pads yet. We don't know what anyone really looks like. But Hassan Reddick, his track record when playing a full season speaks for itself the last couple of years, not obviously last year. And I think he can make that kind of difference. And then, Jason Kelsey just vouched for him on the New Heights podcast too, gave his sign of, stamp of approval on him too. So I think he can make that kind of difference. And then the guys that you have rotating in, that was the whole point, right? They want to come in waves like the Eagles do. They get Elijah Rodgers, they get David Walker to pair with Chris Brazzell. They got these waves of guys they feel they can rotate in and keep guys fresh and keep, hammering down an offensive lineman.
Yeah. So 30 sacks, I like that. I think everybody would be over the moon with that, right? Because that extra pressure is going to lead to interception opportunities because we only had 7 last year. So we got to find a way to generate more turnovers. So speaking of that, we've lost to Atlanta 3 out of the last 4 times that we faced them. And we open up the season with Atlanta, and we owe them an ass whooping. So what do you see happening in that game? What are the keys to victory in that Falcons game?
Yeah, it's still early to kind of tell, but I need to get a gauge of what this new look edge rusher room looks like for the Falcons. Because if they look like gamers from day one in preseason, like these guys are just wreaking havoc and they're going against other people's starters, and like that gives you a little bit more like, okay, the onus is on stopping the pass rush all the time, but these guys look dangerous and you've got Charlie Heck out there. So, that would automatically jump up to being one of the first one. Make sure you have help for Heck. But again, that comes down the line. You obviously got to get out fast start. I think that's something we say every time, but specifically for the way this defense operates and this offense runs, when they have a lead, it's just everything just runs much smoother. Establish their ground game. This is going to be a run first team. It feels weird saying that, but I think this is going to be more of a run first team this first couple of weeks of the season, as to avoid any unnecessary hits on Baker or unnecessary situations and putting Heck in compromisable positions. So those are some of the things, help Heck, fast start, and ground and pound.
No, I love it, JC. Love it. I will ask about the special teams group. I'm very excited for Tez Johnson. I think he will be fun to watch on punt returns. He's pretty confident. I'm looking forward to seeing it. But also, I'm looking forward to see how they'll use him in the offensive scheme on some jet sweeps. Because there's some people comparing him to like a Bucky Irvin, but of course he's like 150 or 160 pounds. So I'm just excited to see what Grizzard does with him on the offensive side of the ball. Do you think we'll see some jet sweeps, if he makes the roster, or some kind of jet sweep in the preseason?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Tez Johnson was part of 2 different groups of taking punts today. It was Tez Johnson, Cam Johnson, and Trey Palmer. The other group was Rashad White, Emeka Ibuka, and Jalen McMillan. So those are the 2 groups returning punts. So Tez Johnson, he came in out of the draft and said, yeah, that's my job. He's like, that's my job. And he was like, I'm just going to take it. So we'll see if he can win that. But if you look about it, and I've talked about this a few times, the Bucs have been looking for that type of player for a little while now. Kalen Geiger, Devin Tompkins, Cam Johnson, one of these guys who are quick, shifty, shaky guys who are difficult, not necessarily to bring down, but difficult to tackle because they're so athletic. And that's, you put Tez Johnson in space, and that's what he becomes, a very difficult guy to take down, a very difficult guy to create angles on because of his stop-start ability as well. So that use him in jet sweeps, use him in screens, use him in all sorts of player. Those guys who can be the primary punt returner and a gadget player in offense have a role, right? You're not going to be on the play, 15 to 20 snaps a game. But if I put you in for 5 to 10 snaps, I need you to go out there and handle your job. And if the ball's coming your way, it makes the magic happen. And I think that can be a role for Tez Johnson this year if he makes the 53-man roster.
The great JC Allen, our last go around the horn with the man, the myth, the legend, JC. And he has his great show tonight as well. Make sure you guys catch that 7 o'clock Eastern Pirate Parlay. JC, I want to ask you this. Last year, this is one of the bigger shocks to me was when Zach Triner, the long snapper, yes, we're talking about long snapper, but he got released right before the season started last year. Super Bowl champ, was on the team since 2019, long tenured Buck. Evan Deckers took that job out of nowhere, surprised a lot of people. Any chance that switcheroo happens this year with Evan Deckers and somebody else they have competing for long snapper, or is it his job solely?
It's his job, and it's his job solely because he's the only one on the roster. They brought one in for a rookie mini camp, but they didn't, or they signed one, I think, after rookie mini camp, but then released him to bring somebody else aboard. So they got to look at him during rookie mini camp. No, we'll go with Evan Decker. So his job is safe unless they feel like they need to add competition or they feel good at XYZ spot. And they're like, let's bring some competition for him. They do have competition for, Chase McLaughlin and Riley Dixon with a punter and a kicker in there. But they were like, we're good with Evan, So he's set, I think.
A little concerning because he got hurt last year too. A little concern, you never know.
Yeah, I mean, potentially, maybe they got someone on speed dial.
Triner.
But I mean, maybe Jake Julian maybe has an outside shot at beating Riley Dixon for the punter job. I know they gave Dixon a contract, but Jake Julian was the guy that they brought in. And as we know with the Bucs, it's we don't care what you're making, just punt the damn ball. And if he shows out, maybe that's something I could see that they roll with Julian and release Dixon. But that's the only special teams drama you're going to get from me.
Well, actually, that you stole my thunder, man. I was going to ask you if the punting game was fixed now with Riley Dixon, and
who
so
knows?
I don't have one in the chamber. So no, just kidding. So I'm going to be at camp on the 1st. You're going to be there, August 1st.
What day is that? Probably
it's Friday.
Yeah, I think so. Next Friday, right?
Yeah, we're driving down for that. So I'll try to get your attention. I'll be the one fangirling out. You'll be able to find me pretty easy.
Oh, really? You're a fan? I could never tell.
So I'm going to ask you a homer question for me. What are the odds Garrett Green makes the practice squad?
Really, he's got to every time he touches the ball, it's got to be gold. That's the level of where he's at. He wasn't taking punts, so they don't look at him as a punt returner. And if you remember, Julian Edelman is the one that people have kind of talked about and similar, former quarterback, turned wide receiver. He started off as a punt returner for the Patriots. That's how he made the team. So if he's not returning punts, it's going to be very difficult. That's the only reason they kept Tanner Canoe last year, remember, was because he was a backup punt returner. So if he's not returning punts and maybe they put him in as the weeks go on, that becomes even more difficult for him to make the team. Let alone in the practice squad. And with it so deep, man, I can see them carrying 6 wide receivers and, Trey Palmer, Raheem Jarrett, Cam Johnson, Ryan Miller. You're choosing those 4 guys, probably 2 or 3 of them to put on the practice squad over a Dennis Houston or Garrett Green. So really, really, really long odds for him, especially given out of all the undrafted rookies, he probably has one of the longest odds to make the team.
Yeah, it's a deep room. Yeah, it's a deep room.
No, it is. Speaking of deep room at running back, I'm looking forward to. I'm thinking about Sean Tucker a lot. I really hope he gets more touches and not fumble the ball. Of course, I know Shaw White. Go ahead.
You made a nice play today. It was I think it was a counter run to the left, and he had enough room to go through the hole. It wasn't tackling. There was a linebacker near him. But it could have been a situation where it could have been a wiggle or a stiff arm or something. Then he took it down the sideline. So it was a nice play. It's tough to know what it would have been without pads on, without them wrapping up. But it looked like he had some space to run if it was a real play.
No, I mean, to me, I feel like he should get some more touches. And then with Shaw White, a lot of fans keep thinking, this could be his last year. And it could, but I expect big things out of him, especially with the blocking, protecting the quarterback. So hopefully with, Tristan being out, I see them run the ball more, like you said, a run first team. So to me, hopefully we'll see more Sean Tucker kind of help with the load and kind of keep Bucky Irvin fresh as well.
It's a double-edged sword with the Sean Tucker love, right? Everyone wants to see Sean Tucker run the ball more with Sean Tucker. He's got an NFC Player of the Week under his belt. Teams know what he's capable of. And all you do is by giving Sean Tucker more opportunities, a bigger case to build for him as he becomes a free agent next season. And if he goes out and feels like he wants a bigger opportunity or a chance to potentially, be a starter somewhere else, much like Rachaad White is, now you're looking at replacing the entire backfield, minus who's on your practice squad. Bucky Irving is your only guy there. So it's this double-edged sword, I guess, with Sean Tucker. Obviously, you want to see him do good because you see the talent, probably the best pure running back on the roster as far as speed. And it's just like, as a runner, like it's just a straight up running back. But with more opportunities becomes more stats and more opportunities to show other teams why they should give him a chance to be their number one running back. So
yeah, the running back room is going to be a fun one. Before we bounce JC out, we're going to do our final words and start with our guy Bucs by 30, the great Zach. Zach, we're getting close to the regular season. Tuesday should be a lot of fun with their power hour. What are your final words, brother?
Yeah, looking forward to Tuesday. It's going to be a great show. Make sure you don't miss that. A lot of contempt and stress on social media because of the pup list came out. People just need to relax. We're close to the season, but we're not close in terms of those guys being able to be available. So this coaching staff's also one of the best that we've had in a long time. So they're going to make the right calls and get the guys prepared to go on game day. So just enjoy it. Stop stressing out about everything and enjoy it. We have almost got football back, and that's the best time of the year.
It sure is, brother. And we got a loaded one Tuesday to get us ready for the season. Pat Donovan, Scott Reynolds, Casey Warner, Peter Blake. Holy crap. Going to be a loaded house, especially with Zach, J-Lo, myself, and the others. Zach, happy Wednesday, brother. We're going to take the last weekend off of the year before February, and then it's full guns and full steam ahead come next Tuesday, brother.
Sounds good.
All right, brother. Have a great night, my friend. Appreciate you. The great Zach, Bucs by 30. Now it's JC, J-Lo, and I. We're playing a little bit of a, what was that? The Brady Bunch back in the day? Yeah, the Brady Bunch. We're popping around here. Before we get to J-Lo and me, JC, thanks for joining first and foremost, brother. Last thoughts on terms of training camp and what you expect in the coming days. I think pads start Monday. And then give us your outro. Give us your exit. Give us your main event here. It's like SummerSlam. You gave us your intro. Now it's a 2-night event, so you need to give us your outro.
I got you. Yeah, training camp defense runs the day. 3 interceptions by the defense, a dropped interception, some good pass breakups, a crazy one, probably one of the craziest plays that didn't count that I've ever seen in my life. You had Mike Evans and Zion McCollum in coverage. Makes the interception, cuts in front of it. Mike Evans makes the interception. Evans never wanted to let anything die in the play. Reaches his hand in there, flips the ball out. It comes flipping upside down, up into the air, over ending each other. Mike Evans and Zion McCollum fall to the side. Who's there? Tweez with the scoop up into his arms, toe tap. Interception. It was one of the craziest plays I've ever seen. And then the very next play, he said, "Oh, you thought I was done," and intercepts Baker Mayfield on back-to-back plays. Just a jumped the route, picked it off, and ran to the house with it. It was really nice. Bryce Hall had a really nice pass breakup, and then he too jumped Connor Bazelak for an interception. Then he took to the house. Warren Peoples dropped one. Lots of pressure by David Walker, Hassan Reddick, Yaya Diaby getting back there. A nice big pass deflection by Tyke Smith. Defense really won the day. There were some good spots with Mike Evans, Devin Culp, and Sterling Shepard shined here and there as well. And some other players stood out, but it was a defensive day. We'll see if that continues as camp goes on.
Yeah, I'm excited for what the rest of camp brings. I'm excited for the fluidity of the roster because, again, a lot of people get mistaken. Hey, this is what the Bucs are going to battle with. It's not concrete. Injuries can occur. Signings can occur. You never know, right?
Yeah, everything's all fluid. This is the point where you this next week and a half, you get to know your roster. You get to know how they're going to handle everything. You get them in pads, get a look of them in pads for those 3 practices, and then you make changes as necessary. And if you feel like you need to get someone else in here, I think that's when you might see if the Bucs feel like they need to get a tackle in here, if they feel like they need veteran safety depth, they feel like they need to get another inside linebacker in here, a veteran guy like that, or another position. I think that's when you start to see those moves start to take shape over the next week and a half as they get to know. So lots of fluidity. Always, as we know, when they do the roster cuts, the final cut down, there's always a lot of fluidity, and that's going to be the mainstay through training camp. What's not going to be fluid is me every Wednesday night, 7 p.m. coming up soon on the PARLAY podcast. I've got the great Greg Allman down. We're getting our observations from training camp, and then we're going to finish up with my defensive profile series. What are the battles at? What's going on? So long show tonight. We'll go an hour. We'll get Greg on for 20, and we'll have some fun with it.
Wow, that sounds fantastic. We do have a Falcons fan talking junk in the comments, but we're not even going to show him because your requirement is you have to make the playoffs at least sometime of late in order to be.
Never forget.
Yeah, 28-3. Tom Brady just literally said, "Nah, we're not going to give you all the Super Bowl," and the Falcons really never recovered. I mean, y'all could just look in the rearview mirror and second place. I think y'all will get third place this year. I think Carolina will finish ahead of the Falcons.
I do too.
Yeah, Dave Canales is going to smack Raheem upside the head and say, "Get back in third place, my friend." And the Saints are just trash, so we won't even talk about that. But Juddy Bear,
we can agree with that. We can agree with that with Juddy. The Saints are trash. And
exactly.
Cam Jordan's hair is atrocious, and those jerseys are terrible. And Tyrann Mathieu just retired. The Saints suck.
It's a clown show. Man, I don't know what they're going to do because they're a town that's built their football, and the past.
Tyler Shuck.
Well, he's a lame duck QB1, my friend. I mean, there's a reason why they gave him all those millions guaranteed. Oh yeah, you're our starter. Yeah, for a year until Arch Manning or Drew Eller became available, and next thing you know, they're probably moving on. But J-Lo, last words for the pod before we bow it out.
Glad I was on, JC. Appreciate you, man. Always enjoy, and I'll be tuning into Pods Parlay later, man. Jones, catch you later, man. Go Bucs.
Catch you later, J-Lo. The great JC Allen live in a matter of minutes at 7 o'clock Eastern. Catch him at the Pirate Parlay. And the millions and millions evolution is out of the building. Buccaneers will be back Tuesday, last weekend off until February. We don't take weekends off on the Buccaneers during the season. So while we can, last weekend off until February. We'll be back Tuesday. Scott Reynolds of Pewter Report, Pat Donovan of WDAE, Casey Warner of WDAE, and Peter Blake of the Sports Web, the only reporter to ever get a Rolex gifted to him by a Paul brother. Other than that, Olivia, everybody else in the chat tonight, Don, Vera, Kevin, David, Nanad, Christian, Cleve and me, and everybody else in between. The Buccaneers is out. Fire the damn cannon. Sorry that Juddy Bear has to witness the Falcons not making the playoffs for the 20th, 30th, 40th straight year. I don't know. Just having fun out here. Buccaneers Tuesday night, 6 o'clock Eastern. We'll be back. Scott Reynolds and co. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Cleve and me. Adios. Have a good one. Fire the damn cannons. Go Bucs. Go Bucs. Go Bucs. Tuesday, Scott Reynolds, Pat Donovan, Casey Warner, Peter Blake. Oh, boy. I cannot wait. We'll put it like that. What's it like? I was actually there in attendance in Cleveland for Coe's first career NFL touchdown, which was awesome. And,
Awesome.
It was a great game. You could hear me on camera. I was just screaming, "Say it ain't so, Coe! Say it ain't so!" Sadly, from there, the game kind of went off the rails a little. That was the last high moment of that game, but it was a great game. Overtime loss, fun time.
Yeah.
How was that moment for you? Seeing the first, whether it was on TV, in person, wherever you were, seeing his first NFL touchdown. How was that?
Well, dude, I mean, we were at home because it was a away game. We don't travel to a lot of the away games because we can get into that later. But, to watch that and to think I wished I was there live. So to have your video was so cool. And just that, this is so cool. I mean, that was so cool for us. Catching it from Tom Brady, right? Like he's got the ball yet. I mean, first NFL touchdown means a lot, right? I mean, as a dad, that's just so cool to see. It was fun to watch. And, it didn't have the outcome we wanted, but still the same. What a memory! What a memory to have, right? So,
and honestly,
cool.
those. one of the best guests ever, the Buccaneers in the house tonight. You guys hear him on Tampa radio all the time. He's one of the best in the business. My favorite personal in the business. That's why I'm elated tonight. You know, growing up in the Chicago area, you're used to sports radio. That's what gets me through the day. So this man does help get me through the day, I will say, with the Pat and Aaron show at work. Nothing like it. So it's incredible. It looks like we got Stunna bumbling in. I'm Tampa Tones. We are joined by Lee Goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little clear. But we're joined by Pat
It looks like
Donovan.
Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like you got a little.
No, my camera's broke.
And he was trying to pull me in big time. And then I was like, hey, you know, nothing's happened with Indianapolis yet. Like, I really want to give Indy a chance. And then also I talked to Cody Gruden, you know, once he took over Richmond Cannon, still like, well, look, I was like, y'all just give me the opportunity to explore free agency, see what's going on, and then can I make it do it.
All right, everyone, you are tuned